In the third part of this video series, we encountered the following transactions of Sakaw hardware store, for which we prepared journal entries. For this episode, let's have this one. Assume that Castro paid only 50% on July 16 and the balance on July 18. What does this mean? This means that we have to disregard this previous July 16 transaction where Sakaw hardware store received payment in full from Castro company. Instead of Castro paying in full, we have to assume that Castro made only partial payment of 50% on July 16 and the balance, meaning the remaining 50%, was paid 2 days later on July 18. Get that? How much again was the accounts receivable of Sakaw from Castro company before this payment on July 16? 320,000. Because prior to July 16, Sakaw had two transactions with Castro company. The first one was on July 8, where we debited accounts receivable in the amount of 340,000. And then another one was on July 10, where we credited accounts receivable for 20,000. So, 340,000 debit minus 20,000 credit equals 320,000 balance of the accounts receivable before this transaction on July 16, where Castro made 50% payment. How much is the 50% of 320,000? 160,000. Because 160,000 was the amount of the accounts receivable collected by Sakaw from Castro, that 160,000 must be debited or credited by Sakaw to its accounts receivable. Credited. Why? Because from the viewpoint of Sakaw, its accounts receivable decreased upon receipt or collection of the payment from Castro. Since accounts receivable is an asset, the normal balance of which is debit, to decrease, it must be credited on July 16, the date of collection. Now, was there any other account of Sakaw which either increased or decreased by Castro's payment on July 16? There must be. Because notice, we only have a credited account here. Remember, in every journal entry, there must be at least one debited account and at least one credited account. And the total debit must always equal the total credit. So what else increased or decreased from the viewpoint of Sakaw? The cash increased or decreased? Increased, of course, because again, since we are on the perspective of Sakaw, upon payment by Castro, the cash of Sakaw increased. Being an asset to increase, the cash must be debited. The important question is, how much cash did Sakaw receive from Castro? Because remember, there is this credit term of 2/10 and over 30. When there is a credit term, every time accounts receivable is collected and even when accounts payable is paid, you have to consider it and determine if the buyer is entitled to a cash discount or not. When was the date of sale to Castro? July 8. When did Castro pay? July 16. From July 8 to July 16, how many days? 8 days only. Is that within the discount period of 10 days? Yes. So, is Castro entitled to this 2% discount upon partial payment on July 16? Listen carefully, please. In some parts of the world, the answer is yes. But in other countries like the Philippines, the answer normally, especially for classroom purposes, is no. Because Castro made only a partial payment. And the problem does not say that SACAW gives or grants discount for partial payment. So please remember this. In the Philippines and some other countries, the buyer is normally, at least for classroom purposes, not entitled to a cash discount for partial payment, even if the partial payment is made within the discount period, unless the problem specifically states that the seller grants discount for payment within the discount period, even if payment is only partial. In other words, when the problem is silent as to the granting of discount for partial payment, cash discount is given only if, number 1, payment is made within the discount period, and number 2, the payment is already full or complete, not partial. Having said that, how much must be the debit to cash? 160,000 pesos also. Same as the amount of the credit to accounts receivable. There is no debit to sales discount here for SACAW because Castro is not entitled to a discount for partial payment. Since the problem is silent with regards to the granting of discount for partial payment. Notice now, the total debit is equal to the total credit. Just because I left a space here, it does not mean that there was supposed to be another account. Anyway, it's easy to move this credited account up here. Then, the explanation. To record partial collection of account. How about the payment made by Castro for the balance on July 18? What must be the journal entry? How many percent is the remaining balance of the accounts receivable after the payment on July 16? 50%. Because the partial payment on July 16 was 50%. So 100% minus 50% is 50%. The remaining balance paid by Castro on July 18. How much is that remaining balance then? 160,000 also. Same as the first partial payment on July 16. Therefore, on July 18, 160,000 must also be the credit to accounts receivable, just like on July 16. Now, should SACAW record a sales discount? Remember, on this date, July 18, Castro already completed payment in full of its accounts payable to SACAW. So, is Castro entitled now to a cash discount upon payment of the balance on July 18? When was the date of sale again? July 8. July 8 up to July 18, how many days? 10 days. Is that within the discount period? Yes, because the discount period is 10 days. So, is Castro entitled to a discount on July 18? Yes, because Castro was able to complete full payment within the discount period of 10 days. From Castro's point of view, that discount is called purchase discount. But we are on the perspective of Sakaw hardware store. And from Sakaw's perspective, that discount is known as sales discount with a normal balance of debit. The next important question is, how much must be the discount? Here, many students commit a mistake. Many will base the 2% cash discount on this 160,000 pesos credit to accounts receivable. That is wrong. Instead, the discount must be based on 320,000 pesos, which is not only on this 160,000 pesos on July 18, but also on this other 160,000 pesos on July 16. Because come to think of it, if Castro is entitled to a discount on its payment on July 18, how much more then must it be entitled now to a discount on its payment 2 days earlier, July 16? On July 16, no discount was given to Castro because the payment by then was only partial. That's why we cannot debit sales discount here on the Journal of Sakaw on July 16. But on July 18, after completing payment in full, also within the discount period, a discount must then be granted already to Castro for both its payment on July 18 and July 16. That's why the sales discount on July 18 must be 320,000 pesos multiplied by 2% or 320,000 pesos times 0.02 in decimal equals 6,400. Now, you may want to clarify. What if Castro completed payment in full beyond the discount period of 10 days? Let's say the final payment in full was made not on July 18 but on July 25, which is more than 10 days already from the date of purchase or date of sale. Will Castro be entitled to any discount? What do you think is the answer? Of course not. Even for its partial payment within the discount period on July 16, it is not entitled to a discount because it failed to complete full payment within the discount period. Anyway, going back to this journal entry, what must be the other debit here? Cash, of course. But how much? 160,000 minus 6,400 equals 153,600. So that total debit would then be equal to the total credit. And finally, the explanation. To record final collection of account, net of discount. Before ending this lecture, let me just point out something very important. In computing for the cash here, be very careful not to commit the mistake of multiplying 98% or 0.98 by 320,000 or even by 160,000, like what we did in part 3 of this video series for the original July 16 transaction. Here, we may get this cash of 313,600 by either deducting the sales discount of 6,400 from this 320,000 or by multiplying 98% or 0.98 in terms of decimal by 320,000. because this figure, 320,000, is the same as this one, 320,000 also. But here, this figure of 320,000 is not the same as this credited amount. Therefore, we cannot use the 98% or 0.98 to multiply it by 320,000 pesos or even by 160,000 pesos in order to get the cash to be debited here. The right way to compute for the cash is by just subtracting this 6,400 from 160,000. The total debit then would be correctly equal to the total credit. Thanks again for watching. Please stay safe.